Good morning. Today we're going to look more at the details of chapter 2 and the creation according to this chapter, which gives us more details. Just a few little notes. In 2 verse 8 it talks about the garden being in the east. There's been lots of people who are sort of like, where is Eden, where is it? And they've tried to locate it. Of course, certain rivers are named. Sometimes those are translated according to what translators think they should be, then they say the Tigris, but actually it doesn't say necessarily that word in the Hebrew, and so therefore people are following their English maps. But we don't really know where these rivers are, okay? Not least of all because, of course, this is the world before the flood, and so the world was very different, as we've already seen. There's one huge continent and a small sea. Now it's the other way around since the flood. And also, of course, in Genesis 10, it says that the earth was divided, so there we understand that the continents were split into separate parts, and they've been moving ever since, although they move slowly. They move a lot faster than geologists would like to admit, because they try to stretch everything out for millions of years, but actually they can only account for a few thousand. And it's very interesting that, of course, really we should realise that we probably can't find Eden. David Rohl writes extensively about where this is, and he is a great archaeologist. He's not a believer as such, he's not a Bible-believing Christian, but he is really well informed and very, very interesting on this subject. I do recommend that you look up his book about Eden and where it might be. He does actually place it roughly in Turkey, Iraq, that kind of area, at the headwaters of the Tigris and Euphrates, but the rivers really only vaguely match. Okay, but I think his research is fascinating, and I'm more interested, however, in what the Bible has to say for us rather than chasing around the world like Indiana Jones, even though I love that stuff actually, but it's not really important. Now, first of all, I would just point out that Adam is given the work of caring and tending and protecting the garden. Okay, it's a command that he's supposed to follow. I want to point out this is before the fall. Okay, so work is not the result of sin. A lot of people talk about work as if it's a result of the fall. No, it is not. It's something that God has stitched into his perfect creation. And indeed, when he restores the creation as we go into the Messianic kingdom in the future, well, there's more work to be done. And we're actually set to work for eternity. Let's face it, it's boring not working. We need something to do, a purpose in life, and work really provides that purpose, and if we don't work, then people get depressed, and it's fascinating, sort of people's daydream is to retire and sit on the beach and drink, and actually that's like it's like a death sentence to me. I couldn't bear it, even though I'm not working at the moment because I'm unwell. I've got an operation in a couple of days. Nevertheless, here I am making videos and teaching and studying, and it's something that people need to do and people should do. And if you're saved, then you want to serve God, and I think that when we're redeemed and we have our perfected bodies and we're living in our eternal bodies, then we are going to want to work. Laziness will be out the window, and it's one of those things whereby we really do need to examine that, because a lot of people talk about work as if it's a result of the fall, and they think, oh, when Jesus comes back there'll be no more work. And he's coming back with lots of work. Ephesians 2:10, there are works that God has created in advance for us to do. We're supposed to be busy in the things of God, if not busy in the things of business and looking after our family. And Proverbs 31 has just sprung to mind. The woman of noble character, she's hard working, she gets up before dawn and she's working hard to provide for everybody around her, and that's a godly woman. There's often this idea that men are supposed to work and women are not. That's very much a cultural thing. That's not something that the Bible puts forward, because of course Proverbs 31, she's a hard-working woman. What I would point out is that Adam is given the job, and the wife just supports him in that, but she's supposed to be working as well. I think it's also something about the identity of men and the masculine character is that Adam is given a mission before he's given a wife. Okay, more often than not, a man's identity is set by what he does. Okay, what job do you do? What's your profession? What are your skills? And of course, other roles are very important. The role of a father and a husband, those are very important. But a man is identified by what he does. Okay, and his wife is part of what he does. Often people separate what a man does from what his wife does, and actually, I think they should always be working together. Not just in Christian ministry. Of course, typically you might be thinking a man who's a pastor, his wife will support him in that and go to meetings and go visiting with him and be hospitable. And yes, that's true. But the same applies to other walks of life as well. If a man is a businessman, he will expect his wife to entertain business associates in order to clinch a deal, and so she clinches a deal with him. And I think that there should be a tight relationship there between a man and his wife. His primary role within that mission is to care for and to protect her and to provide for her, just as she does the same things for him. Okay, so it's not mutually exclusive. They should not be living separate lives. They should indeed be together. What I would point out is that Adam is the one who receives the command, not Eve. And I think that's important because the man should be the one who's leading in all things. The man should be the one who's leading in the work, in the business, in leading the home. The masculine role is to be there. Even though the wife of noble character in Proverbs 31 works hard, she does so to support her husband, and he sits at the city gate. In other words, he's on the council and he's running the community, and he's able to do that because she's providing. Okay, but he's still very much in charge. You'll notice that he's setting the pace and he's setting the direction of the family. Okay, and I think that masculine feminine relationship is really important, and we'll see more of that when we look at the creation of Eve. All right, so there's a few thoughts for the day, a few things to chew on. Maybe to examine ourselves and to reflect on the way that we live our lives, and I pray that blesses you. As usual, please do click on the links and share these things. Appreciate it. Bless you all.